Verbally Effective, your double E, Ina Esco here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to yet another episode of the Verbally Effective podcast. Don't forget, we got your Ivy Multimedia merch on deck. That's right. Make sure you guys follow me right now at Ina Esco, ENAESCO, on all social media platforms. Also, visit the website verballyeffective.com. Get your hoodies, your Henry face mask, your tees today. But let's get started because I have one of my sorors on the Verbally Effective podcast with me today. Now, check this out. She is a two-time USA Today best-selling author. Did you hear what I said? Best-selling author, honey. She's also the Community Relations Program Manager over there at TVA, and she is the President and CEO of RiverHouse Publishing, LLC. I am talking about Latrivia Welch. What's up, soror? How are you?
Hi, Sarah. How you doing?
I'm good. It's so good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. I'm so glad that you are joining me today on the
Thank you for
pod.
having me.
Yes, you look absolutely amazing. And you know, it's been so many years since we hung out at LeMoyne and was doing our thing.
Yes, got to do it again.
Yes, look, the memories. We have a lot of memories.
So many memories.
Yes, and especially with our sorority of Alpha Kappa Alpha, just, you know, meeting each other through the Dubois scholarship program at LeMoyne Owen College. See, we were some scholars over there.
We were true scholars.
Yeah. Man, we had to keep that scholarship, baby.
Right,
We had to maintain that 3.8 GPA. We weren't playing around. Yes, but Latrivia, let's start at the beginning because you are not originally from Memphis, but you are from a nearby town. Where are you originally from?
I am a Horn Lake Eagle.
Yes, Horn Lake, baby, the Eagles.
Yes.
Okay, tell me about growing up in Horn Lake, Mississippi.
Oh, wow. Okay, so back in the day, growing up in Horn Lake was quite an experience. You know, where there weren't a lot of people of color in Horn Lake, specifically where I grew up at first. So making friends and keeping them where, you know, you had to make friends immediately. You had to learn how to be diverse, right? I mean, there weren't a lot of girls, so you had to have boys as friends. So it's like one little black girl and a crew of little white boys, or you know, just whatever you could find until until a neighbor moved in, and then you were able to make a new friend. It became more diverse as we got older. Yeah. But at the beginning, no, it was really hard. You know, my mom was a single mom, and so she was very excited about getting us this house, this brand new home. And growing up in Horn Lake was one of those experiences where there was bad, but there was also just awesomeness. You know what I mean? I mean, we had some great opportunities, and everybody eventually, as the families started to move into this new neighborhood, everybody sort of became family.
Gotcha.
Folks knew who you were, and they were going to tell if you got in trouble. And, you know, the neighbors across the street, like my mom had, you know, her folks, they would tell, you know, we saw Latrivia and the kids out there. We were supposed to be out this, that, and the other, being fast out there talking to those boys.
Tattletales.
Right. So, you know, we developed a really good relationship. And over time, as new people moved in, it really became a community, a family. Going to high school, and middle school. When I got to middle school, I knew I wanted to run track, you know, and I ran track all the way through middle school, all the way through high school. It was just my thing. I was the captain of the track team. Okay. You know, I lettered, and I just really loved running until my senior year, and I broke a rib.
How?
Yeah, really. And so then I was like, I'm really smart. I don't know that I'll be taking I have a scholarship on athletics, even though I did receive one to Arkansas State and a couple of others. I ended up a full scholarship to LeMoyne Owen.
Yes,
but the whole time I was writing. I started writing short stories in kindergarten.
What?
My first story was published in Commercial Appeal when I was in kindergarten over at Alton. That was in Memphis before we moved. And I kept writing. I received a lot of different awards for short stories all the way through school. And my
Wow.
friends and I, during through study hall, I would pass out the pages that I had written from the previous day. So it was almost like a soap opera, and they would read it. And I just knew I always wanted to write. And so when I went to college, I continued to write.
I
I just felt,
remember.
I would be in the dorm and I would write on my little stories. And I always had this dream that I was going to publish a book one day, and I really wanted it to be about, love. I've always been one of those romantic types,
Yes,
and
you
I
were.
always loved a good love story.
Oh, wow.
So,
Interesting. I
yeah.
kind of want to say I remember you writing all the time at
Mhm.
LeMoyne and keeping maybe a journal with you all the
Yes.
time. Yes, I
I
remember
still
that.
have tons of journals. Sometimes when you open those and read them, you're
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my gosh, what? But yeah, I kept a journal all the way through college. And I still have some of those books.
Wow,
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, when you look back at some of the journals or diaries that you've written in, you like, wow.
Like, why doesn't he love me?
Oh my gosh. Now, you know what else I remember, Latrivia, when I want to say maybe I was graduating, but I believe that you were working with the National Civil Rights Museum, right? At one point.
Right.
Tell us about
Yes.
that.
So, my freshman year, I already knew I wanted to go into public relations. I had my senior year of high school, I worked for Dover Elevator Company in their corporate international payroll the whole year. And because I had completed most of my studies, I worked from 9 to 5. When Dover was taken over by Tyson, which is a German company, I actually went to school, and so um, I was like, okay, I want to go into PR and marketing, and I met Bev Robertson
Mhm.
my freshman year, fell in love with her. I just knew that Bev was going to change my life. I knew she was everything that I wanted to be. And then, Howard, the combination of Howard and Bev, I was like, this is amazing. So Bev, I approached her. Michael Washington made the connection for me, and I approached her with my resume and told her that I was interested, and so she gave me an opportunity.
Mhm.
It was to work in the fundraising and development department, and in part with marketing on what they call the Freedom Award.
Mhm.
That year, they were bringing in Hera Belafonte,
Mhm.
and I was just so excited about the opportunity. That started our relationship. And I worked for the National Civil Rights Museum on and off all the way through college, and met some amazing people. Uh, Bono, President Mandela, uh, President Lech Walesa, Poland, um, just you name it.
Yeah.
I got a chance to meet them, and really immerse myself in civil and human rights, and talk to people who have really made significant differences. Growing up, I say growing up as a young woman, I was around Maxine Smith and
Mhm.
Dr. Benjamin Hooks and his wife, and uh, Pitt Hyde. And, these were people that Beverly she pushed me out there, made sure that I understood the importance of what we were doing, that it wasn't just a museum, that this was in fact still a movement, and that
Mhm.
there were a lot of people who were still fighting for equality and equity in the workplace and so many things. And so my younger years, my formidable years as a young woman were spent under her tutelage and Howard Robertson
Yes.
over at Trust Marketing. And then I went on to ALSAC St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, where I developed Stepping for a Cure. You guys supported me. I never forget getting the crew together.
Yes.
Um, I presented that to Shadiac on one day on the elevator, before he passed. It's like, I've got an idea. So he loved it. Said, okay, I like it. But, he set up a meeting with me. I went into the office with my little paper, and he said, I think it sounds great. You should do it. And you guys came out for me, and, you know, we ended up having at Rhodes College, and that was pretty amazing. You know what I mean? So they're in also Memphis Redbirds also, you know, did the inaugural season there. We opened the ballpark and worked for some pretty amazing folks. So all through college, in between us doing our grades, you know, I remember us reading books, right? Remember over in the Dubois Scholar office with Mr. Booker, just having a good time, really talking about it. Remember, he said the most important thing is for you to get it, right? Don't care about the grade, just get it.
Mr. Booker. So, look, when his brother became this big political star,
right.
I know his brother.
Right, they look just alike, right? And so remember, at the time, I think his brother was an alderman or something, and so he was really sort of working in Newark, trying to get people involved. And then all of a sudden, you know, he became mayor, and that's when I was following him on Twitter, like watching what he was saying and doing. And next thing you know,
boom,
he's a senator. He's a senator, and he's rocking and running for president. But I mean, we can see where it came from, because Mr. Booker was amazing.
Yes,
you know, he was just one of those amazing people who really, you could tell that their family, they were definitely forward thinking. Wow. So it was pretty awesome. I was so in love with that program, weren't you?
Yes.
Getting a chance to sit around and talk about
Jose
Oyolo. Remember, he come in all suave and everything. We used to have so much fun. It was so awesome.
Look, I hope they're still doing those type of, situations that we were undergoing back then, because I know a lot has changed, and LeMoyne has grown a lot, you know, and have gone through a lot of challenges since we've been there over 20 years ago, right? Oh, my bad. My bad. But you know what? You talk Latrivia, what I do remember is that you have always been full of ideas, and you've always expressed yourself and pitched these ideas that you've had, and they've always been different. And I've always loved that about you, Latrivia. Always. Now, what I want to get into is this whole writing world. Now, I'm sure the verbally effective audience can understand, you know, how you became this writer, listening to your childhood, and you've always writing. But, you know, I want to know is, how did you get into this entire Russian romance genre? Tell me about that. Russian romance genre.
Right. Okay. So I have been an avid action junkie since I could watch television. You know, Bruce Leroy was like one of my first action heroes. Remember? You know, it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sly Stallone. Oh my goodness, you know, but. And watching all of these, The Godfather, any number of shows, I never saw a Black female who was the lead or who was the love interest. And so my PhD studies were in criminology with a focus on sexual deviancy and organized crime. And so I thought to myself, I was blending what I knew and having studied that with this really awesome love that I have for action movies, and where was our space? Because you can't tell me that there is not a sister from here to California who has not seen The Godfather,
right?
Not watched Scarface. We know all the lines, but there's just no place in it for us. And so I was like, I'm one of those people who believes, okay, if there is not a place for you already, then you make a place. And so I'd written Ivy's Twisted Vine, which was the largest interracial romance where there was a black woman and a white man. You know, it was really, really big, right? And it was based sort of like loosely LeMoyne and Memphis and all of that. But I wanted to do something very different. And so Dimitri's Closet was published in 2010. Now, I had reached out to several agencies because I thought that I had a pretty decent track record in terms of sales, and I wanted to be considered back then, interracial romance was not something that was really heavily publicized. And a lot of the letters that I got from the literary agents was that, that's not a subgenre, that's not an interest, it's not hot, it's not interest, basically no.
Wow.
So since there was no publishing company that would publish this, Dimitri's Closet became the first book of RiverHouse Publishing. And our mantra is bold authors, bold statements, because I didn't like the idea that somebody was telling me that what I wanted to write about wasn't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
I feel as though if somebody's willing to take your money, right, then they should be willing to take your ideas.
Okay.
And so fine, if we don't want to do that, then we just create it ourselves. And so that's what I did. I created it. I knew there were people like Gwen Forster, who I believe and now has passed, but she was a great author, and some others who had really done some great work and sort of were the godmothers of interracial romance. But I was the founder of Russian mafia, organized crime romance. That meant that you had an anti-hero. You had a very Scarface-like or Godfather-like lead, and this Black heroine who was, just strong and powerful and all of those things. And so when I first started, I published the book. We didn't have a good editor. We didn't have a lot. We were sitting there and I said, you know what? We'll figure it out as we go.
Right.
If we sell 5 books, we've got promise. That's my thing. If I can sell 5 books, I'm good. Because if I can sell 5, I can sell 1 million.
Okay.
And so we went out there with bad editing and
Did you sell them 5 books though?
We sold 5 books and we got out there, and now it's grown. The subgenre has thousands of authors and thousands of books, and Dimitri Medalov and the whole Medalov series has grown exponentially, and we have fans in every nook and cranny around the world, and love the fan mail, and we go and speak, and it's grown into like a whole little group of folks. They call themselves the Medalovians. It's really cool. We started out with an idea that we were going to elevate women of color. No different than us wanting to be in sci-fi. No different than anything else. It wasn't about a political statement per se in terms of the character, as it was about just being in the space and the need for us to be in a space. And so that's where it came from, and that's where it is 30 something books later. It's a great thing, and it's very entertaining, and that's all it's there for. It's just there for entertainment. It's not supposed to change your life. It's just supposed to change your mood when you come home from work and you're relaxing, and you're on the bus, or you're on the plane, pick up the book and you go to a completely different world.
Wow, that's amazing. So you wanted inclusion and you created your publishing house because you couldn't get it, right?
Right.
Wow.
And so now we represent over 75 authors from all walks of life, all sorts of genres, fiction, nonfiction, you name it. It was just really about giving people an opportunity to be heard on their terms.
Yes. Wow. Amazing, Latrivia. Now, your work focuses on interracial romance. How does that mirror your real life?
It does. I will just say it definitely does. So, as you know, in college, I was in an interracial relationship in between other relationships. It's college, hey,
College. Hey.
And, you do what you do.
You got
But
to find out what you like,
right. You have to explore, and so
Yeah.
So I think that's everybody knew that Ivy Swiss Divine sort of came out of that. You know what I mean? And wanting to, like, you have to write about. I remember meeting this amazing author. She said, you got to write about what you know. If you want to be successful, start with what you know, and then you'll grow, right? And so that's what I did. But what I also discovered is, as I was reading some of the work that was out there, and there was nothing against the authors, right? Because what if they hadn't been there? We would have had nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I felt as though there were some things that I wanted to share, just to demystify the relationship between two humans, which is what it comes down to. And so I felt like it's not all about he's got money and she's poor and he's saving her and pulling her up out of the yuck. Although, damsel in distress stories always still go over very well. We still, we like what we like. We like a little romance, a little, saving every once in a while. But there are other things. Very strong women who have very strong statements, who've been through things and they're still standing, who maybe are saving the guys at the end of the day.
Okay.
And so that's what I felt like, I felt like the interracial romance piece was something I wanted to share because I didn't want it to always look like all the sisters were broken.
Mm-hmm.
That we're highly educated doctors, lawyers, scientists, vice presidents, whatever, you name it, we do it. And so we need to be valid, we need that validation in our own writing. And so what I mean by that is that we as authors have to create that language. We have to create that situation. We have to create that environment. You know what I mean? We have to elevate ourselves and mirror ourselves in our writing. That's how you motivate people. It may not be their cup of tea, but at least put them on the same footing, on the same level as everyone else. And so I think that having been a part of interracial marriage, I wanted to convey that these are just people. I didn't want it to seem as though that this is any different, any better. It's just my cup of tea. It's not any different. It's not any better. It's not any worse. It's not all of those different things, that sometimes people get caught up on. It's just two human beings who loved each other enough to get married. Right. And now they're going to drive each other crazy till death do them part or till the divorce does, whichever. And so that's sort of the storyline, and now that this is my second interracial marriage. This is my third marriage. I talk to young women all the time about making choices. And I speak to a lot of women all over the country, about being okay with yourself and learning how to stand up for yourself and stand in your skin and be able to make the decisions, whatever those decisions are. But I really feel so like this is my first marriage because he's my soulmate. You know what I mean? It's so awesome. I love you, Shag. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. And so interracial romance, I've received so many letters from women.
I'm sure you have.
Who talk about, I've never dated interracially. Or I want to be in this relationship, but we are of different political views. And my husband and I are very different in all aspects of our lives, very, very different. And so talking about that publicly helps other people know that they can endure, like love will endure, and so it's all about just what we've always done, we've always reached out to the next woman and in our own way, given her our support. And that's what these books really are an extension of. Sometimes it's just my way of reaching out and saying, no, you had a really bad day. I know you got a lot on your plate, and I'm going to give you just a few chapters of ridiculousness. So you can take your mind off of that, and then you can get back to the real world.
Yes, ma'am. And, something that you mentioned, that you were giving your account of what you go through with your interracial relationships. And people can relate. They just can relate when you're being real about what you experience, right?
Oh, yes, they can.
Yes. Like, give me some real life experience in this book, right, so I can nod my head as I'm reading it and concur with you. Now, it also seems like your books are definitely an extension of your commitment to advocacy. You talked about women's rights, and how does that feel that you are on this platform, Latrivia, and you are really trailblazing?
Thank you. I think growing up with very strong women in my family, first of all, right, who always were like, no, sitting at the table like, no, now let me tell you something. That's where the advocacy first started, being around very, very strong women in my own family, right? You had to know what you were talking about to win an argument in my family. And you had to be a good advocate for yourself or whatever it was that you were advocating for. And then going out into the world and working in a lot of different spaces, living in some different places, having been a military wife, and previously with my ex-husband, and being a woman in this skin at this time, you look around and you see so many different things, and you really are like, okay, where do I start? How can I help? And sometimes just being as a woman, you realize if I can just control what I do with my body, if I can just be allowed to say what I need to say out of my mouth, if I can be safe just in the space that I'm in, then maybe I can get to the next step. And so it's about just that norm, that it's about the human right of it, of being allowed to be an individual, and not necessarily allowed, but demanding it sometimes to be a woman, and just, let me move out of my way and let me do what I know I need to do.
Yeah.
That comes in a lot of different forms. It comes in the right to be able to vote. It comes in terms of the right of being able to control one's decisions about their body. It comes in the form of the right to practice free speech, the right to practice your religion as you see fit. I think that all women, regardless of their political or religious backgrounds, that we as women should be allowed to voice our concerns. We should be allowed to be in our spaces. We should be allowed to advocate, and we should be able to do that in a manner that is respected.
Yes.
And we cannot allow ourselves at all to lower those standards, because just 101 years ago, we didn't have the right to vote. 100 years ago, we got the right to vote. And just a few days ago, we saw our first vice president, who is a female and also happens to be our sorority sister, and a woman of color. And what we have, regardless of political beliefs, the one thing that we have to stand on is that we deserve equity. And we deserve to be not only in the room, but at the table. But we have to start telling our young people, our young women, that when they are crawling, that you crawl on over there to their table, because there is a space there for you. And when you get up and you finally are able to sit at that table, we want you to know we've already prepared that place for you. And then it's going to be your turn to make sure that that space is still available in another chair when the time comes, because there's always work to be done.
Definitely. And it seems that these are conversations that we've been having for so long about just a seat at the table for women and equity within these corporations with our jobs. And we've been fighting for so long, and it looks like we are now making headway, right?
Yes.
It's amazing.
And it's such a wonderful thing to be, I don't know, that of course there's still so much that we are advocating for, so much that we are still working for, but it's good. It's something, you have to, was just talking to someone earlier today, you have to stop and smell the roses sometimes. You have to stop and enjoy those moments. You having this opportunity to bring women together and talk about using their voices, to be verbally effective. We have to celebrate that, we have to celebrate every opportunity. We have to see it, and we can't take it for granted. We have to say it. This is amazing. How do we support this? Because that's the way that we continue to control the message and to make sure that we are being heard, is through these platforms. So bravo to you.
Thank you.
Because I know you've always been sort of our voice. I remember you coming, in college, you were like, we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. Again, nurturing those skills where they become a blessing to someone else is always a good thing.
Amen. Yes. Sarah Latrivia.
Sarah, Ina. Yes. Did you tell everybody you used to be Miss LeMoyne Owen? You were Miss LeMoyne Owen.
They know. Look.
Pass the crown to me.
We are both former Miss LOC.
Yes. The same year, I'll never forget you. You passed on. You were the president of our chapter, and then you passed that to me. And then you were Miss LeMoyne Owen, and you passed that to me.
Yes.
And then the Student Government Association, you passed that to me. I remember I was the vice
Look, girl, that's a lot.
Remember that we were doing a whole lot in between. We were always busy and into something, but it was awesome.
And look, the grind has not stopped for either one of us. And I'm so proud of you, Latrivia.
I'm so proud of you. So proud of you.
Yes, I'm so proud of you. I just pray that, you know, with this publishing house that you've developed, that it continues to motivate, you know, not only everyone, but these women, just to be themselves. And like you said, you know, speak your truth and have your platform and have that seat at the table. So you are definitely blazing trails, like I said. Now, I do want to talk about this for a second.
Sure.
You are the community relations program manager over there at TVA. Tell me about this role that you have, because I see that, you know, you have always been in that public relations role and that marketing position. You are still continuing to do that. So tell me about that.
So, you know, I'm always in the community. Everybody knows I've never left. You know, my grandfather was very active with the A. Philip Randolph Institute my whole life, and the NAACP, and I think that sort of gave me my roots in terms of being active in the community. Not just them, not just Granddaddy, but I think he was the one who had the most impact on me. And he lived in his house, for 49 years almost, I think. He never wanted to move, right? Never wanted to move. We tried, Granddaddy, why don't you come stay here? You stay there. He would not hear of it. He loved his community. And so seeing how much he loved his community, how much my mom loves her community down there in Horn Lake, I think community is very important. And I think that I have definitely been blessed to have an opportunity to understand what community really is, right? Like truly what it is, especially in Memphis. You know, you can leave and go away for 30 years and you come back and you're still welcome at home. And so when given the opportunity to share what TVA is doing in that space over at Allen, in an area that my family has lived in for so long, I was very happy to take on that role because, you know, this is home, you know, and it's almost not, it's not really work. It's just reaching out and communicating and being a resource both for TVA and for my community. So I'm really happy to be there and to do that work because it's home. And hopefully we'll have those properties in Memphis for many years so our grandkids can go and see and be a part of it and, you know, say this is where so-and-so used to live back in the day and where so-and-so used to live and share that, you know, and so that's why it's important to me because Memphis continues to be home and it's given me so much. I feel like I owe it, you know, so much as well.
Wow, amazing. And you know, we are both mothers right now.
Yes.
And I know that you have a daughter, a teenager as well. And I know that she is watching everything you do and she is so motivated and inspired by you, Latrivia. How are the kids doing?
They always say when you can what is the old saying? You can determine the health and wealth of a community by asking how are the kids. It's an old African proverb. It's sort of funny. The kids are fine.
Yes.
But let me explain something to you. Tiara just watch me. She critiques everything. She's like, Mom, that outfit does not work. That does not look right. You need to change that. So I used to think I was the fashion maven, but I have long learned that that's her job.
Okay.
I know she's a super diva. She's got a lot of different, I always told her just to embrace herself, embrace her uniqueness. I didn't want her to be like anyone else. What's the point? You know what I mean? If you are being like someone else your whole life, you never get an opportunity to be yourself. Exactly. You know, and that's the reason why you were put here, to be yourself, you know? And so what I found about her, she has so many different sides and I love it, you know? She wants to be in the FBI, you know, but she wants to do her fashion and her photos and she's a great artist. She draws these amazing paintings. And so watching her grow up as a multicultural young woman and embrace all of who she is, it's very, very empowering. And then, you know, you've got the 18-year-old son going into the
Ooh,
Navy.
honey, 18.
I
Oh
see
my
his shoulders like growing, and I'm like, oh, but, you
I
know, then I
remember
look.
when he was a baby.
You remember when he was just this little bitty, cute thing, and
Mhm.
now he's like this big, strong man, you know,
Oh
and so
my.
yeah, we have a very. I always tell people we have a very diverse group of kids. Okay, so we've got the United Nations over here. Jordan is a full, strong African American man. You know, he used to be my baby, and now you know he's
I
headed
feel
off
you.
to serve his country. Tierra is multiracial, you know, and super diva. You know, I'm just super diva. She has an opinion for everything.
Mhm.
And then we have an 8-year-old, my stepson. He's completely white and completely fine in his space. And I've never taken him anywhere he didn't feel comfortable.
Mhm.
I'm like, we're going to see grandma's over here, grandma's over there. We're going to do all of it. He's like, yes, let's do this.
Oh.
And then we have our last baby, my husband and our joint baby together, Liam, and I carried him for 9 months. You know, I had bed rest because I had him at 37, right?
Really?
Laying up, and I'm just like, I'm gonna make it through this, you know, like I'm gonna make it through. You know, as the thing is, the struggle as women, you know, we go through. We decide we want to have kids, and then sometimes those pregnancies don't actually happen. You know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
either you can't get pregnant, or when you get pregnant, you can't carry to term. All the
Yeah.
things that women have to deal with. You know, we're still trying to be fabulous every day.
Right.
But inside we're just like, what is going on? Well, I was like, I'm going to keep this one. I'm laying there watching TV, just not moving, like the doctor says. Carry this baby 9 months, have my first C-section, and the kid pops out looking just like his daddy. Oh, but he's got my
Wow.
ears.
Don't
That's
that
what
make you feel
everybody,
some kind of way
he's
when they look
got
just like
your
they
ears. I was
did?
like, my ears. I carried him 9 months, and he looks just, why did he carry him?
Right. Don't that
Uh,
make you sick when they look just like they daddy? You be like,
just like
I
daddy.
carried him.
Nothing like mommy. So I
Right.
digress. I've got one. My oldest son is the only one who looks like me.
I don't agree because I know that daughter looks like you too,
You
Latrivia.
think she does? I think
Yes.
she
I see her
does.
all up in you. Yes.
Well, that makes me feel good. I'm glad.
Yes. Yes. Wow.
Liam,
So
no, he does not. Nobody has said, "Oh, he just." Even you,
I
the
got look,
last
I gotta see a fresh picture of Liam and I'll let you know,
a
honey. I
fresh
need
picture.
I need a fresh picture of Liam. Look, take a picture on your phone right quick. Let
Right,
me wow. Now, Latrivia, how has COVID impacted everything that you do? What's
oh
going
wow.
on with COVID?
Okay, so I know my fans have not been happy because I have written, but I haven't published anything over the entire COVID pandemic. And
Why
the reason
not?
why, I just took this opportunity to just
Take a break.
take notes, observe. You know
Mm.
what I mean? I have like 7 notebooks full of my experiences and the experiences that I've witnessed and that we've all witnessed. But I felt like um, being a businesswoman, um, being an author, all of those things were great. But a pandemic is something that doesn't happen very often, thank goodness,
Mhm.
in the United States. And so I needed to stop and I needed to be mom. I needed to reassure my children and reassure my husband that goes out there every day that there was someone here waiting for them, someone here focused on them, that they were the priority in this, and that we were going to make it through. You know, and everybody had a different level of urgency. You know, a couple were very, very scared, and the others, not so much. My husband's like, oh, everything's going to be fine, but he needs somebody that at the end of the day he can come home to that's like, tell me about your day,
Mhm.
tell me what's going on, you know, work through it, you know what I mean, just talk me through what happened, how do you feel, you know. And so being the mother and the wife, I had to take those roles on first, And I know they were looking for those books, and I promise you the post-COVID books are going to be so much fun.
Yes, you're getting a lot of material.
I'm writing, but I felt like more than anything, I needed to be here because they were watching the TV, and it's like it went from we've got a case to we've got a couple of cases to the kids watching, we've got 1 million people to it's, and so that kind of urgency, that kind of fear, you have to sort of get in front of it. You know what I mean? You have to let them know, let's wash our hands, let's stay 6 feet away, let's double mask, but then also let's talk. Tell me how you're feeling right now. Don't just go in there in your room and get on your video game. Let's have some conversations. Let's talk about life and what you are experiencing. So COVID for me has been about being a nurturer to the other people. And as a result of that, I have added about 7 pounds to my butt.
You already had a big booty now. Hold on.
It has exploded.
Oh my God.
So what I've also found is that it is going to be a priority, right?
You can write a book about that booty, girl.
Because as a mom, what's the first thing you do? Oh, we got to get all the snacks and all the food. And I cook big meals, right? So I'm like, don't worry, we're just gonna make everything okay. So we normally go out to dinner. Mommy's gonna fix steak, and I'm gonna fix this, and then fill the table up to like this. And even if when you get to a certain age, even if you just taste it, like you see on like Hell's Kitchen, you have a little taster spoon. If you do that just a few times, like all the rest of the day, you can only have water, right? So as a part of my COVID, post-COVID life, I'm probably you're gonna see me running all over the city.
Girl, I'm with you because I done probably gained about 10 pounds. I'm trying to put my jeans on. Like, what happened?
I have moved to leggings.
Right. Look, you don't want to see like the bottom part of this.
Right. You're like right here. Just stay right here because. But yeah, it's been funny. COVID has helped me sort of expand my waistline a little. So I'm gonna get back, get sexy back. We'll work on that.
Girl, you got your sexy going. I see you over there.
And then yes. And do you have a pantry? I have so much food, right? Every pantry is locked. I'm sure everybody knows this. Like everybody has a surplus of toilet paper, paper towels, okay, and the stuff,
wipes,
right, and alcohol. It's like, you like, okay, so all the alcohol wipes went away, and old school. It's like you don't need the Clorox wipes. You go in there, wash your hands, and you just douse your hands with alcohol. Right. You know what I mean?
Sterilize.
Right, sterilize it. So I think that we've learned as a community, we'll never be unstocked again. I think all of us are gonna have about 195 cans of food.
Girl, it's amazing.
COVID taught me that everybody has an office. This place has turned into a co-op space. So kids are learning from home. So they have these nice swanky desks and office and monitors in their rooms. And we have community, it basically has turned into a co-op office space with tons of computers and technology everywhere. And the other thing that I have learned is that during COVID, older people in your neighborhood keep their yards up quite well. Yeah. And so now everybody's at home and they know people like me and my husband who don't do a very good job of that. So yeah, the pressure is on to sort of.
Oh my, it's true. Because when we started getting our yard together, and it's been so fulfilling though since we started.
We're working on we actually have we have done a lot thanks to my next door neighbor who loves to do this work. But what I've discovered, I'm like, oh my goodness, you look out because you're not jumping in the car, right? 6 a.m., 7 a.m., drop the kids off, head to the office. And then you look out and you're like, oh wow, that's a nice lawn. What kind of bush is that? And then you discover some who cheat. I'm one of those. I figured it out. So you're like, even through the rain and the cold, those rose bushes never moved. They were fake the whole time.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I'm gonna do that.
Look, you said you're gonna do that. Wow. You know what, Latrivia, I think it's so important that, you know, you knew to make that decision to take a break,
Yeah.
you know, from writing and to tend to your children and to your family, because so many people are going through mental issues right now, just processing this whole COVID and pandemic situation. So many people we've lost already. So I think that's awesome what you're doing. And I know you're developing a lot of good material for more books. So that is amazing. And I just want to thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for it's so
Verbally
wonderful.
Effective Podcast.
I feel like even though we haven't seen each other in a while, I feel like we just picked up exactly where
We really have.
You know what I mean?
But look, we really need to get some drinks soon too.
Oh yes. That needs to happen.
Yes, for sure.
I know that I've learned how to make these new awesome cocktails.
Okay.
And it's only because of this place I went. So I know the exact place that you and I are going post-COVID. We're gonna go have a few drinks at this place and catch up and have some fun.
Yes, for sure.
And then we can Uber home.
Yes, look, we're gonna have to.
Exactly.
Wow. Well, please let everybody in the Verbally Effective podcast audience know how they can follow Latrivia Welch and see the great things that you have going on. Give all your social handles, your website, all that good stuff.
Okay. Well, you can visit the website at latriviawelchbooks.com. If you're interested in publishing, we have a full roster for 2021 now. So I think they're getting ready to close the doors on publishing for 2021, but we'll be ready for 2022 soon. You can do that at RiverHouse Publishing LLC.com. And I'm a pretty simple girl, so if you look on Twitter, you can just put in Latrivia Welch. If you look on Instagram, you can just put in Latrivia Welch. And if you put it on Facebook, you can put in author Latrivia Welch. I'm very easy to find, and I don't think anyone else has my last name, just my first name. So that I'm there available. We have fan groups. So if you're interested in the books, you can join our fan groups. They do all the talking about the books and the fun. And on the website, we not often share when we are having speaking engagements, even though right now, of course, they're all virtual. So just thank you for the opportunity to share with you and to gab. You know, it's been great. And again, I commend you for such a wonderful platform. It's hot right now and everybody's loving it. So of course you're the bomb.
Thank you, Soror, and you are too. Like I said, I'm so proud of you. It has indeed been a pleasure catching up today. And we're gonna have to do them drinks sooner than later, honey, because I don't know how long COVID gonna be. So I'm coming
double mask, and then matter of fact, I'll just bring the little plastic thing and a little thing I can put the sippy cup.
We're gonna do all that.
Perfect.
We're gonna do all that, honey. Yes. Well, Latrivia Welch, it has indeed been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Verbally Effective Podcast. You're amazing.
You are too.
Thank you.